Legal trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what kind of legal trouble you got yourself involved in.
Basically, I was working at a department store.
Not basically. I want you to tell me exactly what you did.
I was working at a department store at the time, and I was giving people deals when the sale wasn't going on, so I got charged with theft.
Just a minute.
Well, I got charged with a felony theft.
Well, first of all, I'm not buying that story that you were giving people deals unless somehow you were making money from giving them deals. You want to tell me how it worked?
Basically, they'd come in.
Not basically.
Okay. They'd come in, and I'd give them the sale price, and it wasn't the sale price as it was. I'd give them more of a sale, say if it was 20% down.
So I want to make it just so that it's real. You would make out a bill that was deep discounted.
Correct.
And your end of it was either some cash or merchandise.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long were you doing that?
For about 4 to 5 months.
And how much money did you make? Arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you work out a plea arrangement?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the plea arrangement?
Paid the restitution completely before my court date, and they give me a year probation and knock it down to a misdemeanor theft.
So that was a pretty good deal.
Yes, ma'am.
And that deal was made possible because your cousin gave you the money to pay the restitution.
Correct.
Now she wants the money back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Johnson, your cousin didn't get any benefit from this merchandise that you were selling at a deep discount and getting either clothes or money in return.
What you want?
I'm waiting for your story.
Oh, okay. Basically, it was. Well, not basically. But she let me get the money because I was taking. At the same time that I was working there, I was taking care of one of our ill aunts back in Ohio. So at that time when I lost my job, of course, she let me get the money, and I just had to take care of my aunt. What's the deal? Continue taking care of my aunt. She's 68.
She's a baby. What does she need you to take care of?
She wasn't in the best of health.
That's a full of baloney answer.
I mean, it wasn't completely.
That's a full of baloney answer. If she's not in the best of health, she has visiting nurse service.
No.
Baloney. That's an answer that you make up in your own mind. How did you call your cousin and present this problem to her?
Basically, I was taking care of my aunt.
No, basically.
I was going to jail. They said I could face up what was going on, that somebody else I have to come back home. And she was like, well, how much you need? I told her how much it was.
And if he had not been facing a felony, I would not have even loaned him the money. But he has been trying to do better with his life. He's been taking care of his kids. We do have an ill family member, and usually I am the one when I go back there, myself and another aunt. We help out, pay the bills. It's her money, though. Any other extra muffin. So when it first happened, he called and let me know that he was in trouble. And I'm like, what are you thinking? You know, you were doing so well. A month later, he calls and tells me about them. It's going to be a felony. And I personally know he can't vote. He can't get any financial aid. He didn't finish school all the way. And that was the only reason. I'm like, hold on. You know, he doesn't have a history of being irresponsible like this. So in this instance, I had told him, okay, I'll loan you the money. He said, cousin, I can pay you back. I'm supposed to start this other job, such and such and such and such. No problem. My cousin here, and like I said, we're all more like siblings. My cousin was there, and I told Lafayette.
A cruise to the Bahamas.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Campbell?
Yes, I went on a cruise in February.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes, ma'am.
What part of what do you do for a living don't you understand?
Sorry about that. I'm a truck driver.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a security officer.
How long have you been friends?
I'd say roughly around '09 when we got to know each other.
And where did you get to know each other?
Through the fire department.
What do you do with the fire department?
We just essentially run basic fire calls, assist with EMS.
Volunteer fire?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
So you work out of the same firehouse?
Different stations.
Did you ever work in the same house?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you stop working at the same?
After May, April.
And when was this cruise that you went on?
It was February 2014.
So you left the firehouse in 2013?
Yes, ma'am.
But you still maintained a relationship with the plaintiff?
Yes, ma'am.
This is what the case is about. You claim he owes you money for a cruise.
Yes, Your Honor.
Total was 5.
Did you know all 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how it came about that you went on this trip with the plaintiff.
He had originally booked 2 rooms on the cruise and stated that somebody had backed out.
When did he tell you somebody had backed out?
It was September
And the cruise was to take place when?
February 2014.
So he let you know that somebody had backed out that was already prepaid, that he paid for.
Correct.
So he paid for both rooms.
Yes.
The other people were reimbursing you, I assume.
No, no.
Incorrect that you never told him that somebody had backed out?
No, Your Honor. When the first down payment was on it, his name was on it.
Can I see that?
Yes, Your Honor.
That was October 2nd, guest confirmation. Why would he pay for you to go on a cruise?
Well,
What do you mean he offered you to go as well? Now, you have a family?
I don't.
Who do you live with?
Right now, bouncing between two different places.
Between where and where?
My parents' house and a friend's house.
But you work.
Yes, ma'am.
And you work.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you very rich?
No, ma'am.
Why would he pay for your cruise?
At the time, I was only making $200, almost $200 every 2 weeks at the job that I was at.
So?
And at the time, the vehicle I had was constantly breaking down. I was constantly putting parts into that. I was constantly paying. He'd stated that it had already been paid for. When I had already told him before, you know, I only had $80 to down pay.
We're talking about October. Your name is on this form from Carnival Cruise Lines from October. The beginning of October, October 2nd, October, November, December, January. That's 4 months' time to go away. He already had other people to go with him, right? You went. Are you a friend of his?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. He already had company. What do you need you for?
I'm not sure.
All right, I'm not sure either. All right, Mr. Campbell, I'm going to come back to you because it's really your burden. Tell me about how this trip came about and tell me about the defendant's contract with you, oral though it might be.
Well, us three on October the 1st, we're talking about it. Mr. Dodd and Mr. Bethea, we're talking about going. And then we talked about, so we got to lock the price in. I said, I'll go ahead and put the down payment on it and start it. And I knew he didn't have the money.
Disposing of their possessions, including their dog, after he purchased the house.
Your last name is?
Parker.
And you're Miss Woods. You
Yes.
are married?
Yes.
Do you have a child?
Yes.
Correct.
How many?
1.
How old is that child?
A year and 3 months.
Before last summer, you didn't meet this man. You didn't know him.
Not formally, no.
You didn't know him or you did know him?
Well, he was a friend of the previous owner. So he would be around the premises.
Had you ever met him before?
Not introduced.
Did you know his name?
No.
Did you know their name?
No, Mom.
You're not related to each other or anything.
No.
There's no reason he would pay your rent about. You rented a room in a house a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And last November, according to your complaint, you were notified by the owner of the house from whom you were renting this room, because you didn't rent the whole house, just a room in the house, that the owner was no longer going to be paying.
Yes.
Being the smart person I am, I assume that at that point you stopped paying rent.
Yes.
Right. So you paid no rent to anybody.
Correct.
And you became squatters in this house.
Yes.
Paid no rent November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Paid no rent. And at some point, Mr. Rodriguez bought the house from the bank?
Yes, ma'am.
In what month and year did you buy the house from the bank?
On June,
Cash?
yeah,
How much?
5% of the value of the house.
And when you got to look at your house, lo and behold, you find Parker and Woods. This is from your complaint, and he says, I need my house back. You haven't paid rent in 10 months.
Okay.
And on what date does he come and introduce himself to you in your home?
Towards the end of June, I apologize.
End of June.
It up to code because the inspector found things wrong with it, and he said it's fine if we stay along with our other
Just a
roommates.
second. He bought the house on June 26th.
He never showed us any proof of that.
He doesn't have to show you proof of anything. You had no business being in that house. You're squatters. You either are squatters for the bank or squatters for the owner. Whatever you are, you have no right to be there. So, according to both of you say, Mr. Rodriguez was very nice. And you gave him a sob story that you had no place to go, and he said, I'm going away on vacation.
That didn't happen.
We did not tell him that.
Oh, when
did
did he
not
tell
tell
you
him we
to
had-
when did he tell you to leave?
He never
He
asked
never
us
told
The people that were living.
I don't care about any. I have nobody else here. I just care about you.
He came and told us in July that towards the middle of June.
You just told me June.
Yeah, in June he told us he would be purchasing the house, and he came back in July, a few weeks later, and asked us for $600. I said, I'll pay you if you can come up with a rental agreement, have something in writing. I just didn't want to hand over $600 cash, and became aggressive towards me. So my husband had to step in and come between us and kind of settle the situation. So after that incident, my husband and I decided that we were going to begin moving out.
Not begin. It's July.
Yes.
When did you move out? Began. When did you move out?
In July, we started moving out. It took us a while because my husband and I work opposite schedules.
And we do
He
have
don't
a window
care.
that
That's not his problem.
End of
just a
July,
second. Quiet. End of July. When did you come back from vacation?
August 10th.
August 10th.
Yes.
And when he came back on August 10th, he found a lot of stuff in the house.
Our dog included.
Just a second. Now you, according to assume based upon what you say here in court, under oath, both of you a second ago, and what you wrote here, you left the dog in the house. Because you say that he came home in August, and you came back to the house and found all your furniture gone, including your dog, in August. I can't give Mr. Rodriguez back what would be what we call goods for services for money, because you actually occupied his home, both you and your junk, for 2 months while he owned it, for zero money. But you have the audacity to sue him for your stuff when you stood here and just said to me, we started to move out in mid-July. We didn't pay him rent, even though he asked for money. Didn't pay him rent. We moved out the end of July. He comes back August 10th, and according to you, he finds your dog there, which he says was not there, of course, and all your furniture that you sued. Goodbye. You can sucker somebody else. You squatted for 10 months in a house where you know you had no business squatting. You moved out in July. Goodbye.
He didn't throw away other people's.
He never threw away the other people's stuff.
Good.
They were
what part of goodbye don't you understand? I know what part of goodbye they'll understand when I leave.
On a car she sold her and money loaned for repairs.
How old are you, Miss Hanson?
18.
You used to be Miss Schultz's son's girlfriend.
Correct.
And while you were together, you purchased a car from Miss Schultz.
Yes, ma'am.
For how much?
$2,000.
And when did you purchase the car?
October of last year, I believe.
When you were 17?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were legally unable to enter into a contract?
Yes, ma'am.
How much money?
It was $50 out of each paycheck, so a total of $100 a month.
And you did pay her back for a long time?
Yes, I did. 50.
That's close to 1,000. When did you make your last payment to her?
I'm not 100% sure.
Did she put the car in your name?
Yes.
And she put the car in your name when you turned 18?
No, she put the car in my name when I bought it from her that day.
When you were 17?
Yes.
And did you register it?
Yes.
In your name?
Yes.
When did you turn 18?
February of this year.
And when did...
That's not true.
So if you say you didn't, then you would know when your last payment was.
I feel like it wasn't any time this year. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think I did. I have a payment schedule of all the payments.
When was her last... If you ratify that contract, that's what we call it in legalese, after you turn 18, by making a payment, which you did, because she says you made one in April and you don't remember, so I have to rely on her. That means even though if she would have sued you when you were 18, and if you hadn't made any payments to her after February, I would have said to you, you're out of luck. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
But since you did in fact ratify, you don't owe her the balance of the contract. And your answer that I paid her enough on this piece of junk car is not a defense. You got me?
Yes.
Great.
We could afford to make the payment, and we had an agreement that I no longer owed her money for the car.
Oh, well, tell me about that. I want to hear about that agreement. Where did it take place?
In May.
So in May, well, that sort of coincides with what you said, that you made your last payment in April 23rd. So where did this conversation take place?
At her home.
Well, let me hear the story.
I told her that I no longer wanted to pay for the car because of all the repairs, nor could I afford to pay for it and still maintain the insurance. And
how long have you been doing that?
29 years.
30 years. You've been supporting yourself all that time?
Yes.
Do you have family?
Yes, I have 3 grown children.
They all okay?
Yes, they're all fully employed. They've gone to school and they're in their careers. My youngest is 23.
Great. You want to tell me about the last time, Miss Skelton, you were incarcerated for theft? Did that ever happen to you?
I've never been incarcerated.
No. The last time you were arrested for stealing something from a department store, that ever happened to you?
When I was maybe about 7 or 8 years old.
Okay, well, I don't even remember that far back myself. You get a pass if not from then. You understand where I'm going, Mr. Nesbitt?
Yes.
I'm glad you understand where I'm going, sir. Now I'm going to come to you. How old are you?
I'm 18.
And what do you do to occupy your time?
Full-time student, and I play football as well.
A full-time student where?
At Pasadena City College.
And is this your friend?
He's a witness, actually.
What's his name?
Godson Brenton.
And you have 3 nice grown children. Somebody that you know made you the godparent of him.
Well, that's just a title we've conferred. I've known the family.
So this is what your case is about. The godson over here didn't have a place to stay. So Miss Skelton, this very bad person who has pristine employment history, never been arrested for anything, probably hasn't taken a sweet and low and put it in her pocketbook at a restaurant her whole life. You claim she stole your property.
Not that she stole it.
Stole it? Well, stealing is depriving you of your property.
Yes.
That's what you claim Miss Skelton did to you. Stand up. Why were you staying at Miss Skelton's house?
Because I was residing in Los Angeles at first, and in order for me to attend Pasadena City College, I needed to stay closer. So she allowed me to move
So
to
you
her home.
asked her, you said, you have 3 grown children, they're all out of the house, you have nobody else to worry about. How would you like to take me in the house? They're so nice and clean and smell nice and smell good.
Thank you.
Right. Clean up after themselves, put their dishes in the dishwasher, you know, don't drink out of milk cartons, do all those, they don't do any of that. So you're staying with Miss Skelton, and your friend, he also needs a place to stay. So he comes either to you or you and Miss Skelton and says, is it okay if I hang with Brenton for a while until my place is ready? You know, it's not going to be long, a couple of weeks. Miss Skelton said, sure.
Well, it wasn't exactly like that. It wasn't exactly like that.
You want to tell me what it was exactly like, Miss Skelton?
Well, again, Brenton was staying with me. And
for how long was he staying with you?
He came at the end of May, and this is about mid-July. So Brenton had been there for a while. And his friend spent one night, spent another night. I was in my garage. I saw some things that weren't there. I'm like, okay, who put this stuff here? I asked Brenton, I said, do you know whose this is? And he said it was Anthony's. And I said, we need to sit down and talk because I noticed he's nice, you know. So he said he was waiting for an apartment in 2 weeks because he's not from California. And I told him, I said, well, all I have is floor space. You're talking 2 weeks. He said, yes. So I told him, you're going to have to pay something. So I told him $50 a week. That's $100 for the 2 weeks because it was only floor space.
Okay, so
after the 2 weeks, nothing was told to me. And I said, what are you going to do? Your 2 weeks are up. You know, it's time for you to go. And Brenton did all the talking. He said he was going to stay till Tuesday because he was leaving on Tuesday. And I said, that's fine, but where is he going to stay? And I told Anthony, you need to speak up because this is you. You cannot leave your things like you did without the owner's knowledge. You have to make arrangements with the owner.
With what owner?
With me.
Oh, so you mean he wasn't talking to you?
No.
I did speak up to her.
So what did you say?
I had told her I had scheduled the flight, but I'm a student, so I didn't have enough money for the next day flight, so I had to wait 3 days to fly out to Florida. And she had said it was all right for me to leave my stuff there. If it wasn't, I would have...
Where were you staying?
In her house.
Well, just a second. You were staying with your stuff?
I was staying with my stuff, and then, like, when I left to go on leave...
What do you mean leave? Just a second.
I'm sorry.
Just a second.
Okay.
That's where you're losing me, Mr. Nesmith. You speak to her on a Saturday.
Yes.
You say, my flight is on Tuesday because I have to wait 3 days. Is it okay to keep my stuff here? Because I have to stay here because I don't have money to go the next day. I have to wait 3 days. And then you were supposed to be out on Tuesday.
And then I know I had left.
No, then you said you were leaving. She told you she wanted you out. You're now there beyond 2 weeks. So you leave for Florida. What stuff do you leave?
I had left my sneakers and some of my clothes. I had gone to California.
Okay, the stuff that he left with me was a black suitcase and a duffel bag. That was the only things that were in my garage. And I never told him he could leave his stuff. As a man in Pasadena, LAX is 40 minutes without traffic.
I got it. So that's not possible.
Right. And I said, you've missed your flight. And there was a lot of, there was what have you, because they were kind of back and forth. When he walked out the door, I had his black suitcase and duffel bag. I said, here, take your stuff.
That's not true.
Take your stuff. He turned to me and said, Brenton said I could leave it. Now, when we were talking stuff, the only stuff I knew of that belonged to him was that black suitcase and duffel bag.
When you said in your answer that you gave his stuff to Goodwill, what stuff were you talking about?
Well, after he left, about a week later, Brenton left as well. And Brenton left a lot of stuff in the room. So I assumed it was Brenton's stuff because he was the last one there.
Have a conversation with Miss Skelton and say it's not my stuff, it's Anthony's stuff?
I don't recall.
You don't recall? Well, she recalls. She recalls. When you left to go to college, because you were just staying with her temporarily, was there stuff left in the room?
Yes.
Whose stuff?
Anthony's.
My stuff.
There you go. Not yours, because you took yours.
Right.
So then she's correct.
She's not. I don't recall having the conversation.
Oh, but the fact is correct, that the stuff that was left in the room was not your stuff.
Correct.
It was Anthony's stuff.
Right. She also said that she had a conversation with me saying that I said that
I was allowed to leave it.
Shut the...
Okay, sorry.
She just said she had a conversation with me saying that I knew that it was Anthony's things that were there, that they weren't mine. I didn't have that conversation with her.
Fine. I'm saying to you, the reality is all that stuff that he left behind belonged to him.
I'm not saying
you took all your stuff.
Right.
And on what date did you leave and take all your stuff?
I don't remember.
Give me an approximate date.
August 29th, maybe.
And on what date did you move? What date to stay there?
Yeah, to sleep on the floor.
Just, I don't care where you were sleeping.
Okay.
And you paid her for the first week.
Yes.
July 12th.
I paid her.
And did you pay, just a second, did you pay her for the second week?
Yes.
Did you pay her for the last week in July?
The last week. She didn't ask.
Don't ask.
She didn't ask.
Did you pay her for the last week in July?
Are you talking about a third week?
The last week in July, the week of July 12th to the 19th, and the 19th to the 26th, and the last week.
I paid her for the 2 weeks that I stayed.
You paid her for 2 weeks?
Correct.
Well, your stuff was there for a whole month.
She had never asked me to for a storage fee.
It's junk. She could do whatever she wants with it.
It was actually property
of
mine, and it was
junk.
They made an agreement.
We had
for
just
them.
A second. Don't tell me what their agreement was, sir.
But I am the witness, and I witnessed them have the agreement.
You did? Oh,
yes.
I'm dying to hear.
Disposed of his belongings after he moved out. Deirdre claims Anthony abandoned his property.
Now, I'm dying to hear the agreement where she said you can leave all your stuff in the room. This is a woman who rents out floor space, who says you can leave all your stuff in the room, scattered around the room.
It wasn't
for
scattered.
a month.
It was actually.
Go ahead.
The sneakers.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him.
Can you repeat what you just said?
No. Try to remember.
I can't give you an answer because I don't remember what you just asked
Well,
me.
then that's too bad. Then you lose. Listen to me carefully, sir. You're 18 years old. You're a kid.
I am, but
you're a kid.
As well.
You missed your flight.
I did, but they rescheduled my flight for me.
Just a second.
He was my only ride. I didn't know anybody else in California.
You missed your flight
but they
because you overslept.
For an hour later.
You missed your flight because you overslept.
Okay.
You left all your junk in the house for which you were not paying rent.
It wasn't junk, and everything was organized in boxes. I had my sneakers in boxes.
She doesn't have to look at your stuff.
And my suitcases. Everything was new. Nothing was old there.
I don't care.
Okay. So I don't understand how.
What you're telling me is that you had an agreement with her after a month of leaving your stuff there. A month.
I didn't leave my stuff there for a month. I had
well,
gone for 2 weeks on break.
You did because August 29th is when you said...
July 12th I moved in there.
Right.
Are you counting those 2 weeks as well? That I left my stuff there? I was with my stuff. But I was gone for 2 weeks only, and then I came back.
And?
And in those 2 weeks, she had not tried to contact me at all to ask me if it was my
Where
stuff.
did you go when you came back?
I went back to her house.
After 2 weeks, so now we're talking about mid-August.
And I had been trying to contact her. I have the call logs also. And she had not picked up the phone, so I had just showed up there. And I believe her daughter or her niece was home, and they had let me in. That's when I went inside to see if my stuff was there. And just my suitcases were in the room. And I had my sneakers in a box as well in the room.
So why didn't you take them?
They weren't laid out. I couldn't fit it with me. I was going on a quick vacation, and I had a suitcase.
Grow up. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Jasmine Jones is suing her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, for the costs of a French bulldog.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2120, Jones versus Caldwell.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jones, you and the defendant were in a romantic relationship that started about a year ago, more than a year ago. And then you decided to do one of the most foolish things that people do when they sort of fall in love, sometimes temporarily. You decided to buy a dog together. According to you, the relationship went south, and now we have this adorable dog that you want back. You say the dog is really yours. You were the one who was its primary caretaker. You paid for a vet bill. Mr. Caldwell said that's not the case. The dog was always supposed to be his. He purchased it, and it's your argument that if Mr. Caldwell is allowed to keep the dog, that you be reimbursed for the vet bills that you paid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you and Mr. Caldwell live together?
Yes.
From when to when?
From February 1st of this year to September 3rd.
And in what month did you decide to get the dog's name is Scrappy?
Yes.
Scrappy.
We got Scrappy January 18th.
So before you moved in together?
Yes.
Where were you living?
I was going back and forth from my mom's house to Joshua's. I already had a key in January. I was staying there.
Okay, but you were living with your mother.
Yes.
In January.
Yes.
And who was the breeder of this dog? Did you buy the dog from the breeder or from?
From the breeder, Andrew.
Now, Andrew was sitting over there on the defendant's side, so I assume that Andrew was a friend of your boyfriend's.
Yes.
Stand up, Andrew. I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
That's Scrappy.
Yes.
Scrappy is about 8 months old?
He just hit a year about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, so still a puppy.
Yes.
Looks very healthy. When Scrappy was purchased, was the amount paid for him the same as was paid for the other dogs in Scrappy's litter?
No.
How many puppies were in the litter?
5.
Did you charge Mr. Caldwell or Miss Jones for Scrappy?
Mr. Caldwell.
How much did you charge him?
$3,000, Your Honor.
Who paid you?
Joshua.
Mr. Caldwell, did he pay by check or cash?
Cash and Zelle payments.
Did you ever see Miss Jones in the purchasing process?
Yes, I seen her.
Tell me about it.
At the time when they came to pick up the dog, she was his girlfriend, but there was no connection with me.
Was that the first time you had met her?
I've seen her around because we would work at the gym together. We're both personal trainers, so I would see her around the gym sometimes.
Had you discussed with your friend Joshua?
Yes.
While you were working with him in your personal training at the gym, had you discussed with him getting a dog?
Yes.
When?
I can't recall the exact date, but I know that he had seen that I had bought my dog and that I was getting into the business. So he contacted me early in, say, 2020, stating that, hey, I want to eventually, when you have a litter, get one of your dogs from you.
Do you remember what month that was in?
I'd say, well, Scrap was born October 2021. So around then, maybe a couple months before when I let him know that the female was pregnant. So maybe around July, August.
Okay, of 2021.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that was well before the two of you lived together.
Yes.
Did you ever hear from Miss Jones? Did she ever call you before you saw her when they both came to pick up Scrappy?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you can sit down now. Cute. Miss Jones, who paid for Scrappy?
Me and Joshua.
Show me.
I have here Zelle and Venmo payments to Joshua. The first one is in February, and then he didn't start asking me for large amounts.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. These don't look like anything like payments for the dog. What are those payments? $100, $500, $350 in June. What were those for?
They were all payments towards Scrappy. He started asking me for $200, $350 at that time.
You mean after you already had the dog?
Yes.
Because you got the dog.
Yeah, but he didn't pay for him straight up And his friend told us that we could pay for him at will. He didn't give him money the first day that we picked him up.
Okay, I'll go back to you. How much money did Mr. Caldwell pay on the day he picked up the dog?
$0.
When was the first time he made a payment? Now you could stand up again.
He made a payment shortly after, within the first month, of about $300.
So in January, he made first payment
of $300.
And in January, there is no Zelle payment from you at all. When was the next payment? Do you recall?
I believe in March he paid another $200.
Well, do you have records of what you paid, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. I just want to see what you paid and when you paid it. By the way, while he's looking for that, when you lived with Mr. Caldwell, did you both contribute to the rent?
My contribution to the rent was paying for the groceries, so I have all my receipts.
So the answer is you did not pay rent.
That was our deal.
But the answer is you did not pay rent.
No, ma'am.
Did you pay any utilities?
Only when he asked me for extra money to pay his phone bill or to pay for the Wi-Fi sometimes.
And when you paid for these extra things, Wi-Fi or his phone bill, did you pay by cash or did you pay by...
The extra charges in there that I didn't highlight. The ones that are $20, $30, those are for gas. The $70 one is for his card.
Well, I just want to know how you know the payment in July for $200, what it was for.
I was only giving him money at that time. For Scrappy, he started asking me for large amounts of money for him. So that's when I gave him those. He didn't ask me for anything towards bills for that apartment.
Is Scrappy totally paid for?
No.
How much is owed?
$2,300.
So the only amount that was paid so far was $700.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is what happens, because relationships come and go. You know, 50% of the marriages in this country fail. So why would you think a relationship is going to last as long as a French bulldog?
Jasmine Jones claims her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, owes for the costs of a French bulldog. Joshua is countersuing for vandalism and an assault.
Okay, and this is an agreement that I, Joshua Caldwell, have agreed to buy Cashmere.
That was his name originally.
From Frederick Wright. Once the dog's paid in full, I will receive full ownership rights. Frederick Wright will remain the rightful owner of Cashmere until I complete $3,000 in payments, right?
Correct.
And both of you signed this, and this was in January of 2022. That's a reasonable... What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing. I'm just like, when did he even sign that? Because I was with him the day that we picked him up, and he never showed me any contract.
Well, but this is reasonable because he's not transferring any rights to him. He's going to remain the owner. He's the owner of the dog until the full amount is paid for the dog of $3,000. Right now, he said that the only thing was paid was $700. Go ahead. Now I'll hear you. Now I got it. Now you can sit down.
When I was present for us picking up Scrappy and purchasing him, it was word of mouth contract. There was no paper signing at all. He didn't even show me a paper.
And?
And he showed me him. He asked me if I liked him. I said yes. And he said he would go half on him with me.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And it was that same day. I get off of work. He picks me up. We go see Scrappy. Didn't know we were going to get him that day. We ended up getting him that day. He tells me, okay, it's just going to be $3,500. They walk to the back of the room and start talking and making an agreement. Come back out.
So just a second. So they went in the back of the room. You were not there. That's what you just told me. They went in the back to make an agreement, and then they came out. That's what...
He tells me it's going to be $3,500. They walk to the back of the room, make an agreement.
Right. Go ahead.
And then he comes back and we take Scrappy home. The next day, he texts me early in the morning and tells me that Scrappy might have gotten a bee sting or something because he was limping and he doesn't know what happened. I picked him up from his job that afternoon after I got off of work.
Okay, so you picked up the dog from his work.
Yes, picked him up and I went straight to my mom's house to get clothes because I was going back to his house. And I was examining Scrappy, no swollen paw, no bee sting. Then he said that he probably clipped his nail on the tile, and I'm just like looking at his paw, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it, but he's limping. Those were his stories. Still don't know what happened. Scrappy wasn't showing any signs of like pain, he was just limping. So I was like, we need to take him to the vet, like he needs to get checked out.
So you took him to the vet? Okay,
yes.
and?
The vet ended up telling us that he had a fracture.
You can't tell me what the vet told you. I'll look at the records from the vet.
Okay, sorry. I have the vet bills and the reports right here.
Did you pay any part of these vet bills, sir?
Yes.
Which parts?
I didn't have any record of it because I didn't see it coming. I honestly didn't know what happened to his elbow. Andrew was there as well. We were both kind of like, we don't know. So I found out after going to the vet that Frenchies have a ligament in their elbow, and this happens often.
No one is suggesting that anyone abused the dog.
Okay. Oh,
That's not the suggestion. My question was a simple one. Did you pay any of these vet bills? They're about $1,600.
Yes. I just don't
How much
have
did you pay?
any record of it.
What?
'cause-
He's lying.
I didn't ask you to interrupt. You have to understand, Miss Jones, you can't have this dog. First of all, this dog doesn't belong to either one of you. This dog belongs to him until the dog is paid for. So far, all he's gotten for the dog is $700. $500 of that he paid for. But right now, I can't award ownership of the dog, but there's a contract that until this dog is paid for, the dog belongs to Mr. Wright. First name?
Frederick.
Frederick. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Simple. So you have a friend who has Frenchies, then I suggest that you go with your original plan, which is to buy a dog yourself.
Not
Now,
the same.
you have no proof that you paid any of these vet bills.
I just have the medicine with my name on it.
Well, the medicine with your name on it doesn't help. $1,600 in vet bills. And you have physical custody of the dog now, right?
Right.
And your agreement with Mr. Wright is that you don't get ownership of that dog until the dog is paid for. Yeah, I mean, I can't enforce your contract with regard to Miss Jones. The dog was not paid for.
I've already offered to pay him for the remainder of whatever Josh hasn't paid him.
The contract is with Mr. Caldwell, not you. So that's what happened when foolish young people decide to own a dog together. And they're not married, they don't even live together. This is what happens, because relationships come and go. You know, 50% of the marriages in this country fail. So why would you think a relationship is going to last as long as a French bulldog? It's sort of ridiculous, and I've advised against it for the last 25 years. Nobody wants to heed this. So I'm faced with a situation where, when did the two of you break up?
I left it on September 3rd.
Well, now we're a couple of months, but...
She didn't leave. She had to be... well, this is going to go into the assault charge.
I don't...
But
listen,
she had
I don't
to be
care.
escorted
I don't care, whatever. If, I don't care. You want
clothes.
You... Shh. I'll get to the counterclaim in a second. I will give it the same attention as I've given her claim for the dog. She's not getting the dog back. You have to, however, pay her the $1,600 that she paid for the vet. Do you understand? So that part of your petition is granted. Was the bill all paid?
I'm still paying it off currently. We both agreed to apply for care credit together, and whoever...
But it's your bill that you have to pay. If you work in accounting, you have a check, you don't want that garnished, so you have to pay it.
I am paying it.
You have to pay it. Okay. And he's going to reimburse you for that, $1,600. All right, now let's get to this counterclaim and make short shrift of it. Money owed for assault and vandalizing personal belongings. Let's start with the assault. Allegedly, the assault took place when the plaintiff came home intoxicated.
I'm a kickboxer. On September 3rd, she came to my fight, and she dropped me off at home.
That's a lie.
If you say it again, what I'm going to do, if you interrupt Miss Jones, again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dismiss your claim, and you'll pay for these vet bills yourself. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
She didn't like the people that was at my fight there, and so she had a couple drinks. She got to my house, and she started to fight with me, and I tried to remove myself from the fight, and then she started getting violent. So then I called her family to come pick her up, and they showed up maybe an hour later. In that hour, I tried to remove myself to another room. She went and got scissors and started to cut my shoes up. Then I had to try to grab my shoes and scrap and go into the opposite room, and she came in there and was trying to fight me. All the while all this happening, I'm recording her on video to make sure that I'm...
You have that recording?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
This would be me asking her just to leave. This whole thing is out of retaliation. What are you about to do? Why are you hitting me in the face?
Record me? Because I want my dog?
Fighting me. She won't stop fighting me. I've asked her to leave.
Explain that to me.
Jasmine Jones is accusing her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, of owing vet bills for a French bulldog. Joshua is countersuing, claiming Jasmine assaulted him.
Okay, you have that recording?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
This would be me asking her just to leave. This whole thing is out of retaliation. Why are you hitting me in the face?
Record me? Because I want my dog?
Fighting me. She won't stop fighting me. I've asked her to leave. Your stuff is in bags.
You're such a... Josh.
Okay. There you go again. There you go again. On camera hitting me. On camera hitting me. On camera. You see her hitting me? There you go.
Explain that to me.
I wasn't dropping him off. We were still...
I don't care what you're dropping off. Explain that video to me.
I was pushing the phone out of my face because he had me on live and was saying my full name. He cut off parts of it.
No, I just want to know what happened here. This was clearly you were going after him. I don't know whether you...
knocking the phone out of his hand because he was saying my full name, saying I was crazy. I had already packed my stuff. I was leaving. We walk in the house. He calls me a dumb bee and then goes straight to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I'm not gonna deal with this. I had Scrappy by my side. I was packing what I could, taking it downstairs. I walk back up. He goes, oh, you're leaving? And he snatches Scrappy and locks him in the bedroom. And then when he goes to open the door is when I barge in. I'm just like, give me my dog so I can leave. And
well, I want to know what the violent stuff was about.
He was recording me,
he was
saying
recording,
my name.
He was recording you.
Saying I was crazy and I wouldn't get out of the house. And I was like, stop recording me. And I was just hitting the phone out of his hand. I never once put my hands on him. He's already hit me and choked me in the past, so I would not go there to provoke him to hurt me again.
Did you ever report to anyone that he hurt you?
I told my mom.
Did you ever report?
No, I didn't.
Mr. Caldwell, were you injured?
I mean, I'm a fighter. I'm not gonna...
Were you injured is my question.
No.
Her family came?
Yeah.
The police were not called. You called her family instead. Did you pick her up? Stand up, please. You're a mother?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And this incident happened on what date when he called you?
It was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
On...
Shh! Don't interrupt. On what date?
Labor Day.
Did you go to Mr. Caldwell's home?
Yes, I did.
What time did you get there?
Probably almost 4.
Had Mr. Caldwell ever called you before with regard to picking up your daughter, or that she was... No.
No.
So this was a first?
Yes.
Now, when you got there, I want you to describe what you saw.
She was crying, she was upset, and I told her, come on, let's just go. And she said, no, I want to get my dog. I can't leave my dog here. He's been violent in the past. I've seen it. I told her, don't ever leave him with him again after a beach incident where he, like, hit him. I mean, he's a kickboxer, like he said. He doesn't hit the dog like a normal person would just tap a dog. No, this was back in July. He was a puppy. He was a baby. And I was so furious when I saw that. He only did it because the dog snapped at him, because he was angrily packing him up into a dog carrier.
Would you do me a favor? Would you describe to me your daughter's condition?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Describe to me. You have to understand. Your daughter cannot get the dog. The dog does not belong to the defendant.
Okay.
The dog belongs to Mr. Wright.
What happens to the $1,310 she spent for the dog?
Well,
she sent that money to him.
I have to tell you something. I don't see anything in your daughter's evidence that suggests to me that any payments that she made to him had anything to do with the dog. Anything to do with the dog. Mr. Wright was very clear. He said he received $700 for the dog. There were 2 payments that were identified in his register as payments for Scrappy. There is absolutely nothing in your daughter's register that she gave me of these odd payments of $160 or $70 say Scrappy on it. Not one. So I've already made a determination of where the dog is staying. The dog is staying wherever Mr. Wright wants the dog to stay, because he owns the dog.
Okay.
Understand?
Yes.
So now that's your daughter's case. I finished that part of the case. What I want to know is he has a counterclaim, and his counterclaim was that your daughter, while in an intoxicated state, assaulted him. Some of that I saw on this video. Some of it you saw on the video. Mr. Caldwell was honest, because it doesn't look as if he was injured as a result of that, and I'm absolutely not discounting the fact that no one should put their hands on somebody else, but an assault requires an injury. And so if this is is that dog sleeping?
No,
that is so funny.
He grunts all the time.
That is so funny. So, Mr. Caldwell, can you show me what damage you allege Miss Jones caused your property? That's the next thing. You said an assault, which never happened because there was no physical injury. Would you mind telling me, please, what property specifically and photographs of that property?
I'll have it.
Okay, so your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600 for the vet bills that she paid or is obligated to pay on her credit.
It's not assault unless I get hurt?
Yes, it's not an assault unless there is an injury.
So if I was
that it's an
beating her up at her house?
That's an attempted, sir, it's an attempted assault. Do you understand? If an assault has a specific definition, I believe she probably attempted to assault you when she touched you in an unauthorized manner.
She was punching me in the face. That's not a...
Show me picture of any injury. Show me... No, I didn't see that in the video, sir. I saw her lunging towards you. Do you understand? I saw her lunging towards you. I didn't see her hit you. I didn't see a photograph of any injury. I didn't see a police report where you reported any injury.
Report incidents with her being drunk and fighting other men.
Oh, okay. Did you understand what I said? An assault requires injury. An attempted assault does not. And attempted assault is a crime. But it's a crime which I choose, because of the circumstances here, not to consider and not to award you any cash award because you were not injured in any way. So unless you have photographs of the pair of shoes that you say she cut or something else, I'm dismissing your counterclaim. We got it? Good. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Scrappy was not just like a dog or a pet, like he was my support.
I mean, it was fair. Obviously, she had nothing to do with the dog.
It's expected because he lied the entire time that we were together.
And that's a lie.
Him not to have given him any of the money that I put towards Scrappy.
She literally just got all the transactions that we've ever done between each other on Venmo or Zelle and brought that to court.
Now I just think like he was pocketing that money the entire time.
And that's why it was dismissed, because it wasn't valid at all.
I disagree with you a little bit on the countersuit of the assault charge. I have a more, I guess, broad overview since I'm just out of school with the common law. So assault versus battery, as far as I learned, assault was just the imminent threat of a harm. You're fearing for your life or offensive contact of some sort, whereas battery is the actual offensive touching. There has to be some sort of contact. So if we're ruling by common law, which I know we're not bound by any particular state's jurisdiction, I would have awarded him something for the assault claim.
My training is in New York, and in New York there is no crime of battery. My training was it's assault, and for an assault there has to be a physical touching and injury, and an attempted assault is placing someone in fear of imminent physical injury. I think you're probably right that there are jurisdictions that are different. We didn't actually see any contact between her and him.
And he was honest.
We saw,
he said,
yeah.
you know, obviously I didn't have any injuries, but...
Right, just as he didn't have any evidence to support the fact that she had destroyed or damaged some of his personal property. Unfortunate, but you make a good point with regard to the...
David Self is suing his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, for a phone and gas money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2087, Self versus Stroger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is Self?
That's correct.
There are two parts to your claim. I'm going to get and take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to get and dismiss one of them and get to the one that is important. You and the defendant were in a dating sort of relationship. That dating relationship sort of continued for a while. At some point, you had an argument, and she left you. She stranded you. That was in July of 2022. You say you had an argument, she drove off, and she left you stranded. You had to get a hotel for the night. You had to pay a friend for gas money. Blah, 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 blah.
Correct.
Forget that. That's what happens when you have a fight with your girlfriend.
Okay.
Have a fight with your girlfriend. How old are you?
I'm almost 40.
Well, for someone almost 40, they know how to get home.
Correct.
Okay, good. So let's get to what your lawsuit is. It's really about a phone that you say the defendant is responsible for losing or taking.
Taking. I have video to prove
Taking. And the defendant in some way acknowledges that she disposed of your phone, and she says she had very good cause to dispose of your phone. She's going to tell me why. So I'm going to get some dates from you, Mr. Self, and I'm going to, at the same time, explore what I see is her answer and her counterclaim.
Okay.
Now, after the two of you had broken up, Miss Stroger was at a bar, and she was at a bar on what date?
I would say that would be the 16th. It was actually on the 19th.
August 2nd.
Was it
8-2. You see how...
She knows better about these dates than I do.
Well, but it's your case.
I understand that.
So let's say she's right, that it happened on August 2nd.
Okay.
And at that time, the two of you were no longer dating or a couple.
Yes.
And you were going to a bar. And when you got there, was the defendant there?
Not that I was aware of at the particular time.
You didn't see her?
I didn't see her, no.
What time did you get to the bar?
I'd say about 4 or 5.
Anybody else at the bar?
There's quite a bit of people there, to be honest.
How many people?
I'd say about 30.
Anybody you knew?
Quite a bit of people.
Of the 30 people there, how many people did you know?
I'd say at least 10.
But you indicate when you got there, you did not see the defendant.
No, I wasn't paying attention to her at the particular time.
Well, you say that there were 30 people in the bar,
Correct.
10 of whom you knew. So you knew some people, and this was a former girlfriend of yours with whom you had been close association and intimate, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see her.
Well, they have a back patio, and then they also have the indoors and everything like that. And then they have a front area, too, as well, so.
Tell me, Mr. Self, when did you, in fact, see her?
It's when she was doing the bowling. And that was a little bit later on when I was playing pool.
About what time was that?
I don't know, probably like 7 or 8.
So you had been in the bar for between 3 and 4 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're at the bar for 3 or 4 hours. And are your friends there, these 10 people that you knew?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit to the breakup that you two had.
Gotcha.
Was it a mutual breakup?
So what ended up happening and everything, that we had a disagreement on the 23rd in Norco, and she left me stranded there, so I had to get another friend give me a ride back to my residence.
I can't understand a word you're saying because you're speaking too fast.
On the 23rd,
Better.
she left me at a barbecue and had a friend give me a ride back to Riverside, California.
A friend who was at the barbecue.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you were at a barbecue with her.
That's correct.
And that was how far away from where you were living in Riverside?
I'd say about 20 minutes away.
And your friend was at the barbecue, and after you had an argument with her, your friend took you home.
Prior?
No, not prior. Is that what you just said to me?
In Norco, California, is when she left me at a barbecue. And then at the bar, or when we were down in Huntington Beach on the 30th, she left me. I have video that shows all that.
All right. I asked you whether the breakup was acrimonious. So one time she left you at a barbecue where you knew somebody who drove you home.
Correct.
And you didn't stay in a motel, you didn't do anything else.
didn't.
Okay, good. And then she did it again.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying to me?
Yes.
And the second time was when?
It was on the 30th.
Okay. And that is the time when you say you had to spend some time over. So after she left you the second time,
Yes.
is that when you no longer communicated with her?
That's correct.
Did you say, why did you leave me? How dare you leave me? You didn't have any communication by text or phone or anything else, is what I'm asking you.
So her cousin's supposed to play in a band. We showed up late. She was upset and distraught about showing up late.
Who showed up late?
We did, because I was with her.
I just need a date of that,
On the 30th.
sir. I have on the 30th. So she was upset that you showed up late, and?
We showed up late to her cousin's thing. They're supposed to be at 2 o'clock. We got there about 2:05. She's upset about that. When we were driving down the road, because we're trying to find parking, which everybody was around and everything, she was getting upset and getting angry with another driver, to the point where I had to pull the e-brake to stop the vehicle, as I thought she was going to run into it.
And then what
I tried to
happened?
de-escalate the situation as much as possible. Mind you, there's 2 minors there in the back.
I would just like to know, was the breakup, I'm trying to figure out, was the breakup acrimonious or mutual on the 30th? Who broke up with whom?
She left me.
She left you there.
That's correct.
On the 30th. After she left you there on the 30th, did you have any communication with her?
I was done with it.
Just a second. So after the 30th, you didn't see her or communicate with her until you saw her on August 2nd, is what you're saying.
Yes. I didn't see her again.
Didn't see her again or communicate with her from the 30th of July until August 2nd, a few days later.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe so. I can look at my records right now to see, but I don't believe I gave her a call or anything like that.
Okay. And when You saw her at the bar that you were in. You saw her later between 6 and 7. She was bowling. It's not an answer. The answer is yes.
Yes.
She was bowling. You were playing pool.
Correct.
And what this is about is your phone, which you're missing. So tell me about the phone, sir.
So I have a Note 10 Plus that was behind the bar at the time. Instead of going to my vehicle, which I typically charge it from that
Just a second. So you were charging your phone at the bar.
Correct.
When had you put the phone in to charge it?
Later on that evening, around 10, maybe 11, I'm guessing.
10 or 11?
I'm guessing.
Just a second. 10 or 11. So.
Because there's a few times I actually go in there, I charge it, then I use it for a little bit.
Well, but you saw it the last time.
I apologize for that.
Last time you saw it, you plugged it in. It was like 10 or 11. So now you've been in the bar from 4 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
And she was there, at least as far as you know, from about 7 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
Keep going.
So I charge it, and...
what were you doing with the phone all evening?
Talking, texting. Texting and stuff like that.
Texting?
Communicating, yes.
To whom?
Friends.
Friends.
What's going on, you know, social media, all the good stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, I was playing pool. I went outside, had a cigarette, and then that's when she, at 12:33 is when she ended up with her girlfriend looking around and all this other stuff. Like I stated before, I have the video that shows that on the camera. Would you like to see it? So
far, I'm not understanding you. So why don't you explain it to me, and then you can show it to me. So far, it's all a jumble. 12:30 at night.
12:33 is when she stole the phone.
Is when she stole the phone?
That's correct.
And you bought the phone when, sir?
About 2 years ago.
And how much did you pay for it?
I don't know, I think like $800, $700.
Well, this is your case. How am I supposed to figure out? You're suing for a phone that she took. How am I supposed to figure out how much she owes you for the phone if she took it?
I don't know how much I paid for it, but I know it retails for about $1,200.
Show me.
So I got the case cover.
What kind of phone was it?
The Note 10 Plus.
The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus is typically $395 to $512.
At this point in time, yes.
Well, that's what it would cost you to replace it.
Okay.
Now, you do not deny that you put your hands on his phone in a manner in which you intended to have it removed from his custody, which means, according to you, you took the phone out of the charger and threw it in the trash or in trash someplace. So far, Mr. Self, the defendant acknowledges that she took the phone and trashed it.
All right.
And I want you to make sure that you answer my questions carefully. While you were at the bar between 7 and 12, did you ever show anyone at the bar a photograph of the defendant?
No, I did not.
Now I'll hear you.
So I got to the bar around 8:30 because I played darts that night. I did not see the plaintiff. I was playing bowling. There was an arcade game. And when he came in, he started showing videos of me.
That's incorrect.
Don't speak. There is a protective order in place, and if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service, you better do so. In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far away from her.
David Self claims his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, owes for a phone and gas money. Joangela is countersuing for harassment.
Now, did you see him showing videos of you to anyone at the bar?
I saw him showing videos.
But didn't see what they were?
No.
I would never do such a thing. Apologize.
Could you stand up, please?
Absolutely.
Do you know Mr. Self?
I do.
Tell me your name.
Amy.
Amy what?
Clack.
Were you at the bar on the 2nd of August?
I was.
And you know the defendant?
Yes, she's a friend of mine.
And what about Mr. Self? How do you know him?
As her ex-boyfriend.
Be careful of what you answer me. Did you see what Mr. Self was showing on his phone?
I did not see what he was showing on his phone. I saw him showing the phone, and I had friends who came up to me to see if I had seen it.
You can't tell me what your friends told you.
Understand.
You can sit down. Now, Ms. Stroger, your answer, and of course your counterclaim, involved the fact that Mr. Self was showing intimate pictures of you that he had maintained on his phone. So far, we don't have a witness to that. So what I want you to tell me is whether or not you personally had a conversation with Mr. Self about those videos on that night on August 2nd.
I asked him not to show video of me around the bar that night.
You did have a conversation with him?
Yeah, because he approached me.
Put your hand down. I want you to tell me about the conversation.
He approached me basically...
I don't want to hear basically.
He approached me
what time?
saying hi about 9:30 that night. Approached me saying hi. I told him I didn't want anything to do with him, that I had seen him showing videos, and that I was told that it was sexual videos of myself.
And what did he say?
He said he can do what he wants with his phone, and walked away.
Do you recall that conversation, Mr. Self?
There was no conversation that took place. The only video...
No. Slowly. There was no conversation, that took place.
That took place about anything like that. What video I did have was her being irate over there in Huntington Beach. So if you'd like to see that too as well.
No, I'd like to see the videos that she says that you have of her on your phone.
I don't have any videos of her like that on my phone.
Did you delete them?
I don't have...
Just a second. Oh, he has a new phone. Got it. He has... just on them. He has a new phone. Well...
I did have a letter stating that he did get the backup, and he's got all the videos again.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
I do have a backup. Once I...
Just a second.
Okay.
He sent this to my boss at 1:30 in the morning. 2:43, sorry.
Mr. Self, this was sent by you to her boss on the 9th of August.
Okay.
Would you tell me the purpose of sending this letter to her boss?
She does very good at showing that she's a good person and all the other good stuff.
No, I don't think... Listen to me. I don't necessarily think anything.
Okay.
I think any woman that allows photographs to be taken of her, intimate photographs that she would not want put on the... I'm speaking.
Okay.
I'm speaking that she would not want posted on the front page of a local newspaper.
Correct.
I think that that's foolish.
Yeah.
I do. And I know a lot of people do it. I do a shout out every once in a while and say that that's stupid to do. And I think certainly if you were showing those videos or those photographs to anyone at the bar because you were annoyed with her or whatever, you thought it was fun, I think that that's
childish.
Sad, maybe worse. What I want to know is, after this all happened, why you sent this email to her boss.
Because the thing is this, that she is trying to pin me as a bad guy or something like that, is what she's really trying to do. She's trying to manipulate it to be on her side. She lies and manipulates all the time. And I've seen that because I was with her. I should know. Okay? The thing is this, I have the video of her over there in Huntington Beach being irate, unable to have a conversation.
I don't care if she's irate, sir. Right now, she has no proof that you were showing videos of her at the bar that evening.
Yes.
You don't have that because that's your counterclaim. And if you don't have that, then I have to dismiss your counterclaim.
But there's also harassment and stalking that he's been doing.
Okay. I have to dismiss that part of your counterclaim, which is for revenge porn. Okay. Now, you're going to tell me about the stalking, and first I'll take a look at a police report.
The police report, unfortunately...
Just a second. If you don't have it...
I have a restraining order, and the police...
Just a second. Do you have a restraining order that's in effect now?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Also, Your Honor, too, I have also...
No, I'm not...
Okay.
I didn't ask you anything. Were you at a hearing, Mr. Self, on this protective order?
I never even got served papers at all for anything.
I have proof of service.
Was there a signature on it?
Well, Mr. Self, she has a restraining order that's, and the hearing date was August 25th, 2022. She appeared. You're supposed to stay away from her. I'm just telling you. And I'm telling you, considering the fact, and I don't know whether you were released from prison recently, are you still on parole?
I'm on parole right now, yes.
Okay. Well, if you're, I didn't ask you anything. Well, if you're on parole, Mr. Self, and you say you weren't served with this restraining order, I would strongly advise, sir, that you retain counsel and question service.
Yeah, I've contacted my probation officer. They're well aware of the situation.
Don't tell me what they're aware of. I'm telling you that there is a protective order in place.
Gotcha.
And if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service of that protective order, you better do so.
Okay.
In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far away from her.
He called me yesterday.
I called you yesterday?
Yes. Don't speak to her. Tell me what the conversation was yesterday.
I was on my way to work, and I didn't know the phone number. So I answered it, and he said, please just give me a minute, and I hung up.
Did you call her yesterday from that phone?
There is a phone.
Just a second. That would be a yes.
Yes.
Okay, and you know this situation is hostile.
Yes.
And you knew you were coming here today.
That's correct.
Would you tell me, please, why you called her yesterday?
I didn't mean to call her by any means. I pocket dialed her.
Well, if it butt called her or pocket dialed her, sir, that means that you were able to transfer all the information that you had on your old phone into your new phone, because after the experience that you had at the bar, there would be no reason for you to have her number in your phone.
I know.
Unless you just transferred.
I got it right here.
Well, if you got it, listen to me. If you got it right here, then it wasn't a butt call. So you can either butt call when, am I wrong about that? You know, I'm not technically sophisticated, but I do know this. I can't think into my phone. Now, maybe there is a phone that you can think into. I'd say, well, I have her number right here. You can't say, am I missing something here?
You might only butt dial me because I'm in your favorites, but...
Why would you send this to her boss?
It shows that she lies and manipulates and all sort of stuff to get her way.
I'm at a point where I don't actually believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar.
David Self is accusing his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, of throwing away his phone. Joangela is countersuing, claiming David shared private photos of her.
Okay, so you called her. You want to tell me why you called her yesterday?
I accidentally called her.
What's her number doing in your phone?
Because I keep all the numbers and everything just in case I have to get a hold of somebody. Because you know how many times I've been with her and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Yeah. Tons of times. You know what I mean?
You know, sir, something, Mr. Self. I don't believe you, sir.
Okay.
I don't believe you, and I don't believe that there was ever any reason for you to contact her boss. I think she has an order of protection.
Okay.
I'd like to see proof of service. Do you have it?
Yes. Oh, it's not connected with that. I'm sorry. If not, I have a picture of the service in front of his house.
Yeah. Server's name. So it was personal service.
And I do have a video after the fact of what she's talking about, the individual coming to the house. So I recorded
I'm just reading the proof of service, sir. You said you weren't served. I'd like to
served.
see proof of service. If you had proof of service, you were served.
I wasn't served.
Okay.
Just because you took a picture in front of the house and everything doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Why is that? I wasn't even at the residence at the time.
They took a picture of me.
Yeah, I would suggest to you, Mr. Self,
Stay away.
I would suggest to you that hire a lawyer.
Okay.
If you think that the service was improper, I'm satisfied with it, and another judge was satisfied with it, and I still don't understand why you wrote to her boss. Why you wrote to her boss afterwards. Any other communications?
To my boss, yes.
May I see it, please? Well, this is also written on August 9th, sir. This is from you, and it's a very graphic email to her boss. You want to take a look at it?
I do indeed.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to show it to you.
Okay. Thank you. So this is really just stating the individual that they hired, that they...
Now, I'm just asking you whether you sent that to her boss.
That is my email address, and that looks
Yes,
like my
so-
writing. That's correct. Or
That's
my-
just the question is, did you send that to her boss?
Indeed.
Okay. May I have it, please? And that was after the events, a week after the events of the 2nd of August, right?
Okay, yes.
You want to tell me why you sent that to her boss?
Well,
I mean, it's not telling that she's a thief. You have to be careful of her. It's talking about sexual things.
where is it saying sexual things in that?
Oh, very easy. You say she lies to her boss about cramps while we lay in
She
bed.
is literally taking off of work saying that she's, sick or...
So I'm asking you why. Why would you send this to her boss?
It shows that she lies and manipulates and all sort of stuff to get her way.
Okay.
The fact of nature, I understand that. I've been to prison and all sort of stuff. I could be the bad guy and all that great stuff. I understand that.
I'm not saying she's a good person.
Correct.
I'm not saying you're a bad person.
Correct.
She's got to pay for her phone.
Yes.
You got to pay for this. Because I'm at a point where I don't actually believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar. I don't believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar.
I would never do such a
Just
thing.
a second. Well, the same person who would never do such a thing wrote to her boss that you were present when she called her boss and said, I can't come to her because I have cramps, and she was laying in bed with you.
Correct.
Okay? And that same person wouldn't show a picture,
No.
Okay, good. On your counterclaim, I am awarding you $5,000 on your counterclaim. From that, I'm taking off the $500 because he had no right to trash his phone. There are alternatives. One of them is not trashing his phone. Therefore, ordering on the counterclaim a judgment for the defendant in the amount of $4,500. Plaintiff's case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
She gets away with it again.
The judge is very fair. Unfortunately, he tried to make me look like the bad guy, but the judge can see right through him.
Did I show her videos? Yes, where she was being irate over there in Huntington Beach.
That he's showing sexual videos of me and him.
The nudes and all this stuff? No. Why would I do something like that?
I went black, and that's the only reason why I threw the phone in the trash in the first place, because I felt helpless.
She sold me on this great person and everything, but come to find out, you know what, it's not what it is.
I gotta just be more careful with their phone around.
I guess, Sarah, it's because of my generation. But I've been saying for a very long time, even before the internet, because, you know, I was, in fact, young at some point in my life, and they did have all kinds of cameras and Polaroid cameras back in the day. But never take a photograph of yourself or allow a photograph to be taken that you wouldn't like to see on the front page of the New York Times. And now with social media, I think that that's more true than ever. To me, why would you post anything or take a picture, allow a picture to be taken that might later embarrass you?
I agree to an extent, but I disagree with you that in this case, because the defendant mentioned that the plaintiff had taken some of this video and photo without her permission. And I think that now it can get a little bit blurry as to, well, I didn't approve my photo taken. Obviously, a sexually explicit photo getting sent to your boss is not the intended purpose of that photo. I think whoever sends that photo, misdirecting the intention of the photo, is the one that should be held accountable, not the person that was sending it in for a purpose of a long-distance relationship. There's many reasons why now people might send photos that they wouldn't want plastered on the front page of the New York Times. But as the recipient of a photo like that,
you're not supposed to republish it.
You have a responsibility, if you care enough about that person, to keep its intended purpose private.
I absolutely agree with you. But it is bad judgment, so I don't mind repeating at least my perspective, which is, if you don't want to see it out there, don't take it.
Kelly and Robert Burrows are suing their former friends, Marina and David Quadra, for illegal eviction and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everybody.
Hello, Judge. Case 2072, Burrows versus Quadra.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Quadra, you were living in a home, in a house?
Correct, a townhome.
That you didn't own. And for how long had you been renting that home?
We did not rent out the home.
How long, if you didn't own it, then you were renting it?
We rented it for 2 years, Your Honor.
It gets scarier if you have a fixed position in your head so that you're not listening to my questions. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did your lease start?
July of 2020.
And when was it to terminate?
It was terminated August 1st, 2022.
And it was terminated by an eviction?
Correct.
And you were evicted because the landlord said that you sublet the apartment to these people and their family?
Correct.
And they were people who you knew, both in the military?
Just him.
What do you do?
I'm a federal employee.
And you?
I'm active duty, ma'am.
But you knew each other from work?
Correct.
Where did you move in August?
National City, Your Honor.
How far is that from your prior residence?
It's about 30 miles south, Your Honor.
Are you in a home that you own or that you rent?
We are still renting.
How much are you paying in rent?
$21.50 a month.
You have a signed lease?
We do.
When did that lease start?
August 1st, 2022.
And why did you choose to live in National City?
It is closer to where he is stationed.
It is also
Don't speak.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much closer?
To his job.
To his job?
It went from a 30-minute drive to a 15-minute drive.
Okay, so that's better.
Correct.
You were evicted. You were served a notice of eviction on what date?
They let us know a month before August. They gave us a 30-day notice.
Now, did the plaintiffs have any furniture in the home that you were evicted from?
Prior to us being evicted, yes.
Yes, prior to your being evicted. And what furniture did they have?
2 dressers and a bunk bed.
Anything else?
That's as far as furniture.
And what furniture did you have in there prior to being evicted?
A full living room.
And when did you move that out? On what date?
The 30th of July, 2 days before our moving date.
So you moved out all of your furniture?
Correct.
And how much were you paying in rent in the place from which you were evicted?
$25.95.
Oh, I didn't write that down. How much were you paying in the new place?
The place we are in now, $21.50.
So you're paying less rent?
Correct. It's substantially smaller.
And substantially closer to his place of employment?
Correct.
Good. Now, do you want to tell me your version of how they came to be living in your house?
We received a call one night. It was very late, 10 p.m. Robert was very upset, crying. He had nowhere to go.
He?
Correct. Robert had nowhere to go, and Kelly was asking for a divorce. He asked if he could crash on the couch. We have a toddler at home, so I asked him to sleep in our guest bedroom instead of the couch. He stayed that first original night, and the next day he needed to job hunt as he was jobless. We offered to watch his child. He looked for the job and he came home. He asked us if he could stay for a while in that guest bedroom until he got onto his feet with the job. He offered money to just help out with utilities and
how much?
$1,000.
$1,000 a month?
No, just $1,000. And our words, when he had asked, and we asked him, how long do you think it will take you to get on your feet? It was just a couple weeks.
Okay, so he was offering $1,000,
correct,
which was 40% of your rent, to stay for 2 weeks, to stay in your guest bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty decent. Did he give you the $1,000?
He did.
And he gave you the $1,000 on what date?
He gave us the $1,000 on May 29th.
And when did he start staying there?
He started staying with us May 21st.
Then what happened?
He stayed with us for about a week. Everything was okay. He job hunted. I helped with the child. Within this week, he...
Look at me.
I'm sorry. He confided in us that he wanted to work on his marriage with Kelly. He did not want the divorce. It was something that she had asked for. They wanted to work on it together and had asked if Kelly could come around to stay with him and the children and work on their marriage.
When he moved into the guest room, did he take the children? Did he have the children with him?
He did, but it was just on certain nights they were sharing.
And then he asked if Kelly could come as well.
Correct.
The wife. And what did you say? Why couldn't he go home?
He could not go home due to their relationship with her parents. Their parents.
Oh, she was living with her parents.
Correct.
And they were both living with her parents.
Correct.
So he said, I can't go home. We want to work on the marriage. Could we come and stay here with you?
Correct.
They have 2 kids?
They have 3.
They have 3 kids. And how many dogs?
4.
4 dogs. So far, you get 4 stars if you let her come.
I wish it would have worked that way.
No. You don't understand that that's where I'm at so far.
Yeah, of course.
So now, May 29th, he gives you the $1,000. She moves in when with the dogs?
So we had a long trip planned to Vegas. We let them know that after we had left, she could come stay while we were gone.
What month? June?
June, correct.
How long were you away?
We were away for 5 to 6 days.
Well, what was he going to do when she came there with the 4 dogs, 3 kids after 6 days? What was the plan?
This was never a plan of, here's a lease agreement you are going to rent from us. It was just I need somewhere to stay. Can they please come for this short period of time until we figure this out?
Great. Okay, now let me hear your version of the events. When you went to stay there with your children, you were having trouble with your wife.
It's incorrect.
Incorrect. What I said was, because I believe her, I believe that you called her and said exactly what she said. She told me. I mean, I didn't have to have Whitney read it back. I believe that that's what you said. So I don't want to hear baloney about school districts. You were having trouble with your wife.
And later today.
You can't have it both ways.
It's a complicated case.
It's not complicated. It's very simple. You didn't have a written contract. If you had an oral contract, that's one thing.
Kelly and Robert Burrows claim their former friends, Marina and David Quadra, owe for an illegal eviction. Marina and David are countersuing, saying Kelly and Robert caused them to be evicted.
So when you went to their house and you wanted to work on your marriage, you could have gone back to your in-laws.
Yes, that's correct.
You could have. Why didn't you?
The reason why we decided to split up was because we're trying to keep our kids in the same school district. So with having 4 dogs, that's impossible to keep in an HOA. So she decided to go with her parents. I decided to stay back to finish the school year with the kids, still being in May, so they can finish in the same school district. That's why I decided I needed a mailing address so that they could stay in the same school district.
So you mean this discussion that she just said to me about you having problems, marital problems with your wife, that never happened?
Irrelevant. It's just...
No, that's not what I said. What I said was, because I believe her. I believe that that's what happened. I believe that you called her and said exactly what she said. She told me. I mean, I don't have to have Whitney read it back. I believe that that's what you said. So I don't want to hear baloney about school districts. You were having trouble with your wife.
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
And you didn't tell her that.
We had been moved out of our old place of 6 years in El Cajon, and we were trying for 6 months to find a new place. So yes, it does put a lot of stress on a relationship, but we did not have any marital...
Mr. Burrows, you know what my strong suit is, and there's no question that the cameras just caught your face. My strong suit is being able to spot a lie from a mile away. And I'm telling you that there's no question that you called her late at night and said, I'm having trouble with my wife. She asked me for a divorce. Can I come and stay with you? There's no question that whether it was true or not, I don't know, because clearly you're a liar. So maybe it wasn't true, but that's what you told her.
Your Honor, may I speak?
You want me to call your parents?
Please do.
Would you like me to call your parents? I'm just asking you, would you like me to call your parents?
No.
Of course not. That's an easy thing for me to do.
Part of what was going on was that we lived in our home for 6 years and the homeowners had moved back in, and so they asked us to leave, and we had been actively searching for a home. So yes, it did put a bit of a strain on our marriage, and I took my dogs with me so that I can keep my operating business at my parents' house because I am a dog boarder, dog sitter, and I did not want to shut my business down. And during this time, tensions, little things happening at my parents' house. So I said, you need to go see if you can rent a room or find somebody that can help you in the meantime till we can actively keep searching for a place for our family. We tried 5 different homes and we didn't.
I don't care. What I said to your husband was he lied to me. Because there's no question that he called, and whether it was true or not, that he said to your friends, I need a place to go. Do you have a place that I could stay on the couch? There's no question he said that to her.
That is true. Yes, that is true.
Okay. Well, then I want you to introduce your husband to the truth.
Is it true?
It's something that he hasn't met, because that's not what he told me what happened.
Correct.
So that was a mistake of his. That was a mistake. And you know what happens when you lied to me once? Your case is dismissed. Because what you're suing for is being evicted, and you go, blah, 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 emotional distress. You lie to me once, your case is dismissed. Now, we're going to come over here. You have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim is money owed for property damage.
Correct.
And for damages for eviction. Because what happened was your landlord evicted you because she comes with her 4 dogs, 3 gerbils, 2 parakeets to your house, and the owner of your condo doesn't want her any more than the owner of their last condo.
Of course.
Didn't want them. Got to save your money, buy your own house so you can have as many dogs and parakeets as you like. You moved into a place that's nicer?
Absolutely not.
Tell me what the papers said when your landlord notified you of the eviction. Do you have them?
We do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Yes, no problem. There was also in that piece of paper a $250 fine through our HOA from the whole commotion that he caused the day of asking them to leave.
Just a second, you were a month-to-month tenant?
Correct.
You didn't have a lease for 2 years. You were a month-to-month tenant.
We had a year lease, and then when the year was up, we moved month to month.
They didn't evict you?
No, they just gave us, they asked
Just a
us to
second.
leave.
Your lawsuit is for damages, punitive damages for an eviction. You weren't evicted.
Well, we were asked to leave if we...
No, they just decided not to renew your month-to-month lease.
Due to the...
I don't care what it was due to. Listen, if I owned a property and you let 3 kids, 4 dogs, moved into my condo for 6 days, I wouldn't renew your lease on a month-to-month basis either. I don't care whether they were there for 2 days, 4 days, a week, or a month. You understand?
Understood.
Okay, so there was no eviction. So the punitive damages for that, forget it. Money owed for property damage. When they moved out, what did they damage? And how much did it cost you?
There was a hole in the molding from moving the dressers down our stairs. They bonked it, bringing it out angrily because they were mad that we asked them to leave. We have the letters from our landlord stating everything that they had to deduct from our deposit.
Just a second, a hole in the wall. And how much was the hole in the wall?
The molding was...
No, just look at the paper and tell me how much was the hole in the wall.
The painting was $180 and the molding repair was $200.
Now, did you damage the molding when you were moving a dresser out of the house?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, not that you're aware of. You want to try the truth now? Was there a hole that you created moving a dresser out of the house?
When David and I were moving our dresser over the stairs, down the stairs.
Who's David?
The defendant.
So you were moving out the dresser with him? Careful, introducing you to the truth. Did you move the dresser with him?
I did help move the furniture
Your case is dismissed. The counterclaim likewise is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I take it as a win. The initial suit was them against us. Their suit got dismissed.
We lost a lot of things and a lot of wages.
That was just us being good friends. We definitely learned our lesson. We will never help another crying husband on our doorstep claiming divorce again.
People that are offering to be nice to you in times of need don't charge you.
They kind of cried, oh, marriage and divorce the whole time, knowing that we're young and married. It's something we take seriously in our lives.
And we're still trying to build our lives back.
I should actually make a party to introduce all those people to Mr. Truth.
I agree. There's a lot of mismatch. Doesn't make sense. If you're going to stay with a friend for a few days, you don't bring a bunk bed and 2 dressers. No. I've stayed with friends for a couple days, long weekend. You bring a bag with some clothes.
Even with your kids.
Yeah, you don't bring furniture. You don't bring any of that. So there's a lot of discrepancies.
Things that didn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true.
Agreed.
अरे बोला था चूड़ी कंगना राजा जानिया हो अरे टूटा था रोज रोज पिया बदानिया हो टूटा था रोज रोज पिया बदानिया अरे बोला था चूड़ी कंगना राजा जानिया हो अरे टूटा था रोज रोज पिया बदानिया हो अब हाथ के मेहंदी हमरो छूटत बाटे लाले लाले गलिया ओठ लालिया पिया मोर सुखत बाटे राजा मोर सुखत बाटे पिया मोर सुखत बाटे राजा मोर सुखत बाटे रोआता से जिपे ओढ़ना बिछावाना हो अरे धाके कमरिया खेला खिलावाना हो धाके कमरिया खेला खिलावाना अरे रोआता से जिपे ओढ़ना बिछावाना हो अरे धाके कमरिया खेला खिलावाना अरे छाती से साटी के तकिया बितात बाटे लाले लाले गलिया ओठ लालिया पिया मोर सुखत बाटे राजा मोर सुखत बाटे पिया मोर सुखत बाटे राजा मोर सुखत बाटे होता बेकार काइल सोरह सिंगार हो हर तड़पेला जवानी अनुराग हो तड़पेला जवानी अनुराग हो होता बेकार काइल सोरह सिंगार हो हर तड़पेला जवानी के हो और बिपिन तोहरे प्यार से मनवा कुगत बाटे लाले लाले गलिया ओठ लालिया पिया मोर सुखत बाटे राजा मोर सुखत बाटे पिया मोर सुखत बाटे राजा मोर सुखत बाटे